Season's end heralds the beginning of a new... no, I'm not doing that right now. Hello, everybody. Hello. What am I doing? Yes. Day 92. Day 92 of the 100 Days of Narration Challenge. Wow. 92. Geez. I never actually expected to make it this far, but here I am. I'm getting a little bit teary-eyed. No, I'm not actually. I'm very manly. I never cry. Except when I do. Except when I act, because then I can act. I can be as unmanly as I like because it's just, it's just acting. It's just acting. Anyway, day 92. And if you haven't figured out yet, this week is Terry Pratchett week, which I've decided to do because I enjoyed Terry Pratchett week last time, so I'm doing it again for the second time. I was actually thinking of doing it a third time as well, but obviously that's not going to happen anymore because it's coming to the end of this whole shebang. And what a shebang it was. What a shebang it was. God. Can't believe we've been doing this so long. So anyway, Terry Pratchett week. So I'm just going to go on and read another Terry Pratchett book for today. And that would be Carpe Jugulum. Seize the throat. Seize the, I guess, what it is. That's what it is. And what is it about? It's part of the Witches series. I remember that. I don't actually, sorry, hit the mic there. I don't actually remember a lot about it. I don't really enjoy the Witches books, to be honest. I just get them in order to have a complete collection. But yeah, it's been a while since he's written a witch book, which is a shame on principle. But at the same time, I never really got into the books anyway. But let me read the blurb here. Mightily Oates has not picked a good time to be a priest. He thought he'd come to Lancre for a simple ceremony. Now he's caught up in a war between vampires and witches. There's young Agnes, who is really in two minds about everything. Margaret, who is trying to combine witchcraft and nappies. Nanny Og, and Granny Weatherwax, who is big trouble. And the vampires are intelligent. They've got style and fancy waistcoats. They're out of the casket and want a bite of the future. Mightily Oates knows he has a prayer, but he wishes he had an axe. Carpe Jugulum is Terry Pratchett's 23rd Discworld novel. Discworld novel? Why is there an R there? I don't know. Carpe Jugulum is Terry Pratchett's 23rd Discworld novel, but the first to star vampires. Is that right? Is that has the vampires ever appeared in the Discworld novels before? Maybe they haven't. Oh, that's a strange. No. No. Maybe starring as. No, that doesn't even work either. No, there was a vampire in a Guards novel. Men at Arms. No. Yes. No. Men at Arms? I think it is Men at Arms. No, Feet of Clay. I'm jumping all over the continuity here. Feet of Clay had a vampire villain, and I think that was the start of the reason why Vimes didn't like vampires. Or maybe he didn't like vampires before. He's an awfully complicated fellow. Anyway, let's have a read of Carpe Jugulum. Get to a nice page to do it from. And let's have a read from page 274. No, we'll go back. No. 273. We'll start here because there's a page break here. Granny Weatherwax opened her eyes. At least she had to assume they were open. She felt the lids move. She'd felt the lids move. Darkness lay in front of her. It was velvet black, starless, a hole in space. But there was light behind her. She was standing with her back to the light. She could sense it, see it on her hands. It was streaming past, outlining the darkness that was the long, rich, deep shadow of her on the black sand. It crunched under her boots as she shifted her weight. This was a test. Everything was a test. Everything was a competition. Life put them in front of you every day. You watched yourself all the time. You had to make choices. You never got told which ones were right. Oh, some of the priests said you got given marks afterwards, but what was the point of that? She wished her mind was working faster. She couldn't think properly. Her head felt full of fog. This wasn't a real place. No, that wasn't the right way of thinking about it. It wasn't a usual place. It might be more real than Lancre. Across it, her shadow stretched, waiting. She glanced up at the tall, silent figure behind. She glanced up at the tall, silent figure beside her. "Good evening." "Oh, you again." "Another choice, Esmeralda Weatherwax." "Light and dark. It's never as simple as that, you know. Even for you." Death sighed. "Not even for me." Granny tried to line up her thoughts. Which light and which dark? She hadn't been prepared for this. This didn't feel right. This wasn't the fight she had expected. Whose light? Whose mind was this? Silly question. She was always her. Never lose your grip on that. So, light behind her, darkness in front. Sorry. She'd always said witches stood between the light and the dark. "Am I dying?" "Yes." "Will I die?" "Yes." Granny thought this over. "But from your point of view, everyone is dying and everyone will die, right?" "Yes." "So you aren't actually being a lot of help, strictly speaking." "I'm sorry. I thought you wanted the truth. Perhaps you were expecting jelly and ice cream." "Ha!" There was no movement in the air. No sound but her own breathing. Just the brilliant white light on one side and the heavy darkness on the other. Waiting. Granny had listened to people who'd nearly died but had come back. Granny had listened to people who'd nearly died but had come back, possibly because of a deft thump in the right place or the dislodging of some wayward mouthful that had gone down the wrong way. Sometimes they talked about seeing a light. That's where she ought to go, a thought told her. But was the light the way in or the way out? Death snapped his fingers. An image appeared on the sand in front of her. She saw herself, kneeling in front of the anvil. She admired the dramatic effect. She'd always had a streak of theatrics, although she'd never admit it, and she appreciated in a disembodied way the strength with which she had thrust her pain into the iron. Let's try that again. She'd always had a streak of theatrics, although she'd never admit it, and she appreciated in a disembodied way the strength with which she had thrust her pain into the iron. Someone had slightly spoiled the effect by putting a kettle on one end. Death reached down and took a handful of sand. He held it up and let it slip between his fingers. "Choose," he said. "You are good at choosing, I believe." "Is there any advice you could be giving me?" said Granny. "Choose right." Granny turned to face the sheer white brilliance and closed her eyes and stepped backwards. The light dwindled to a tiny distant point and vanished. The blackness was suddenly all around, closing in like quicksand. There seemed to be no way, no direction. When she moved, she did not sense movement. When she moved, she did not sense movement. There was no sound. But a faint trickle of sand inside her head. And then, voices from her shadow. Because of you, some died who may have lived. The words lashed at her, leaving livid lines across her. Let's try it again. The words lashed at her, leaving livid lines across her mind. I like that, leaving livid lines. Although that did trip me up, but still, it's a very nice sequence of words. The words lashed at her, leaving livid lines across her mind. Some lived who surely would have died, she said. The dark pulled at her sleeves. You killed. No, I showed the way. Ah, that's just words. Words is important, Granny whispered into the night. You took the right to judge others. I took the duty. I'll own up to it. I know every evil thought you've ever had. I know. The ones you'd never dare tell anyone. I know. All the little secrets never to be told. I know. And how often you longed to embrace the dark. Yes. Such strength you could have. Yes. Embrace the dark. No. Give in to me. No. Lilith Weatherwax did. Alison Weatherwax did. That's never been proven. Give in to me. No. I know you. I've always known you. The Count just let you out to torment me. But I've always known you were there. I fought you every day of my life, and you'll get no victory now. She opened her eyes and stared into the blackness. I knows who you are now, Esmeralda Weatherwax. I really need to give Weatherwax a proper voice. You know, it's not right for me to just do it this way. I know who you are now, Esmeralda Weatherwax, she said. You don't scare me no more. The last of the light vanished. Granny Weatherwax hung in the dark for a time she couldn't measure. It was as if the absolute emptiness had sucked out all the time and direction into it. There wasn't anywhere to go, because there just wasn't anywhere. There was no just in there. There wasn't anywhere to go, because there wasn't anywhere. After a length of time without any measure, she began to hear another sound, the faintest of whispers on the borders of hearing. She pushed towards it. Flip the page. Words were rising through the blackness like little wriggling golden fish. She fought her way towards them, now that there was direction. Sorry, there's an A in there. She fought her way towards them, now that there was a direction. The slivers of light turned into sounds. And asketh you in your infinite compassion to see your way clear to possibly intervening here. Not normally the kind of words she'd associate with light. Perhaps it was the way they were said, but they had a strange echo to them. A second voice, woven in amongst the first voice, glued to every syllable. What compassion? How many people prayed at the stake? How foolish I look, kneeling like this. Ah, one mind split in half. There were more Agneses in the world than Agnes dreamed of, Granny told herself. All the girl had done was give a thing a name, and once you gave a thing a name, you gave it life. You gave it a life. I'm adding a and removing a from words. You gave it a life. There was something else nearby. A glimmer a few photons across. A glimmer a few photons across, which winked out as she looked for it again. She turned her attention away for a moment, then jerked it back. Again, the tiny spark blinked out. Something was hiding. The sand stopped rushing. Time was up. Now to find out what she was. Granny Weatherwax opened her eyes, and there was light. I guess I'll keep reading, even though it seems to be like a good point to stop since I've got some more time. We'll read the next, the rest of these things, this page. The coach swished to a halt on the mountain road. The coach swished to a halt on the mountain road. Water poured around its wheels. Nanny got out and paddled over to Igor, who was standing where the road wasn't. Water was foaming where it should have been. Can we get across? Said Igor. Probably, but it'll be worse down below where there's really bad runoff, said Nanny. The plains have been cut off all winter before now. She looked at the other way. She looked at the other way? That's weird. Is that the weird sentence? Whatever. She looked at the other way. The road wound further into the mountains. Awash, but apparently sound. Where's the nearest village that way? She said. One with a good stone building in it. Slake, isn't it? There's a coaching inn up there. That's right, Slake. Well, we ain't going anywhere on foot in this weather, said Nanny. Slake it's got to be, then. She got back into the coach and felt it turn around. Is there a problem? Said Margaret. Why are we going uphill? Road's washed out, said Nanny. We're heading into Uberwald? Yes, but there's werewolves and vampires and... Yes, but not everywhere. We should be safe on the main road. Anyway, there's not much of a choice. I suppose you're right, said Margaret reluctantly. And it could be worse, said Nanny. How? Well, there could be snakes in here with us. Oh, Nanny, always finding the right words to say. Oh, the wrong words. You know, one of the two. Nanny Og, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so that was Carpe Jugulum by Terry Pratchett. And an interestingly dramatic point of the book to read. And there's my burp for today, or some such like that. Yeah. Maybe I should read it again. Maybe I'll appreciate it more this time round. I don't know. Anyway, Carpe Jugulum by Terry Pratchett. This is Terry Pratchett Week, and that was day 92 of the 100 Days of Narration Challenge. Day 92. We are getting into the very last week of this crazy challenge, and it's madness, and mad things happening. Anyway, what else did I have to say? Oh, yeah. The reason why I couldn't do day 98 is because I am taking a trip to the Americas from my little provincial town of Adelaide, South Australia, and flying over into Los Angeles to meet my friends there and maybe, do some voice acting workshops and whatnots. And, it should be fun, I hope, for the next 3 weeks. Yeah, so that's why I'm not going to do a mystery book challenge on day 98, because it's going to be, I don't know. I'm bringing my microphone with me, but I'm not sure what my recording situation is going to be like. I know I'm probably going to try and record a book on the actual plane ride over, which should be interesting. Maybe if it's allowed anyway. I'm not sure how Qantas Airlines views recordings made on airplane. Not sure if they have a policy about that, but we'll see. We'll see if I can do that. But yeah, hope you enjoy that. Day 92. Come back tomorrow when I'll do day 93. Yahoo! Hey, you seem like a cool, wonderful, and/or awesome individual with impeccable taste in voice actors. So why not follow me on Facebook or Twitter? You can keep up with the latest projects I'm in, or that my friends are in, or that you could be in, because I occasionally post links to open editions to various projects that require voice acting out there, or that nobody's in, but they're interesting projects nonetheless that you may also find interesting. Also, lots of random thoughts about whatever's on my mind at that particular moment. Usually it's about food or video games, or foodie video games. Anyway, you can follow me on Facebook at OmadonVA or Twitter at Omadon. Hope to see you there.